Alright, so I'm going to do a quick rundown of my Vault Key vintage deck. Um, so, like any good vintage deck, it runs a lot of the Power 9. We have all the Moxes, Black Lotus, and then Time Walk and Ancestral Recall are all in. The counter spells that I'm running are 4 Mental Misstep, 4 Force of Will, and 4 Daze. And then we have a single Spell Pierce and a single Steel Sabotage. Um, then we have some card drawing filtering with 4 Impulse. And then we have Factor Fiction, Preordain, Ponder, Recall, Thirst for Knowledge, and Brainstorm. Basically, one of each of the best card drawing spells in Magic, because you're only allowed to have one. Then to kind of smooth out, the consistency of the deck and its colors, because we're running a lot of basic lands, because I didn't really feel like spending a bunch of money on duels, we have Trinket Mage, and the Trinket Mage lets us search for a swath of cards. It lets us get any of the Mox, Black Lotus, Mana Vault, Lotus Petal, Soul Ring. Also gives us 3 extra copies of Voltaic Key for the Time Vault Voltaic Key combo. And then it allows us to go and get permanent sources of mana with Seed of Synod and Vault of Whispers. So just there for kind of more consistency with the deck. The Mental Missteps are a recent inclusion. I don't remember exactly what I cut for them, but it was a mixture of counter spells. They're really, really good in Vintage, so I think everybody should be running them. If you're allowed to run Mental Misstep in a deck in a format, you should. So we are. To the core of the deck, obviously we have all the mana acceleration up here. That's just to make things happen quicker. Then we have the 2 ways that the deck wins. One is going to be Time Vault and Voltaic Key. This combination of cards allows you to take as many turns as you want. You only need access to 1 mana to pay for the activation of Voltaic Key. The other combo we have is basically a single card combo in Tinker. The deck, as you can see, is full of artifacts, even has artifact lands. So it's very easy to tinker on the first or second turn with a decent amount of counterspell backup, and generally speaking you would tinker for a Blightsteel Colossus and then kill them the turn after. You can also use Tinker to find the other half of your Vault Key combo, if that's what your hand has brought you to. Basically, the deck is just full of options. There's a lot of paths, like choice paths, that you have to memorize. For instance, if you have enough mana, then you can actually make any of the searching cards bring you to your combo. So, say if you had Merchant Scroll, you would Merchant Scroll to find Mystical Tutor, and then you would use Mystical Tutor to find Tinker. And it's just as easy as that. Demonic Tutor, you would go directly to Tinker. Vampire Tutor directly to Tinker. Also, if you're not on the Tinker plan because you don't need it, because you already have half of Vault Key, then you would use the searching cards to find your way to the other half of Vault Key. And you can do this rather quickly with all this extra draw, time walk for an extra turn, and then the impulses, which let you go really deep really quick. Because we're running Daze, and we consistently always want to have a basic land, or a basic island. I'm running a lot of basic islands. This helps out against decks that are trying to take advantage of people who play lots of non-basics. It is also great if you're kind of on a budget and you don't feel like spending, $4,000 or $5,000 on a deck. You can save yourself a lot of money in the lands. You don't necessarily need dual lands. A lot of people complain that you're running search spells in Vampire Tutor and Demonic Tutor, and you have to have access to black mana. But as I'll show you, you actually have a lot of black mana sources. So we'll count how many black mana sources we have for our 2 black spells. We've got a Jet, a Black Lotus itself, a Lotus Petal. Then we have 3 Trinket Mages, which search for any of those. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the Vault of Whispers. So that's 7. And then Tinker can find you a Black Source as well, so that's 8. Then if you really, really want to go deep, you can actually use the searching spells. So these all will actually find you black mana as well. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we actually have 12 sources of black mana to be able to cast our searching spells when we need to. I guess you wouldn't count them themselves, so that's sort of a mistake, but whatever. 10 sources of ways to get black mana. Not too bad. Anyways, so this deck's pretty straightforward. I mean, it's a vintage staple at this point. My version of the deck obviously is like a budget version of the deck, because these are a bunch of the Power 9 is all proxies. I don't actually own Power 9. That'd be great if I did, but one day. Anyways, so that's my my Vault Key, vintage control deck. Thanks.